The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. I already posted up a video on Bill Willingham releasing Fables into the public domain, and I kind of gave a little bit of an overview of that. Now some more time has passed, and there's more commentary dug into it a little further, and it kind of crosses over with an interesting thing that's simultaneously also happening, which is a number of creators and we need a word. What are the words for people who are not in the comics industry, meaning they're not creators, but they do have like blogs, and the blogs are, have a couple hundred subs, and then they are talking about comics, and then people within comics say you're part of the comics industry, but are they really like there's this, like, the cousins of the comics industry. I don't know, whoever those people. Anyway, there is a huge effort at this point right now to post screenshots of Bill Willingham's tweets, or rather, sorry, tweets he liked. Of all the ones that people have sent me, like, hey, what do you think of this? None of them are actually of Bill Willingham writing anything. And I know Bill Willingham has written things, but mostly it's him liking stuff. And the stuff he's liking is by and large conservative in nature, or Republican, depending on how you want to, label it. And they're basically saying, hey, Willingham, I'm reading some of the tweets. Willingham is a piece of shit. Just a gentle reminder to continue to ignore Bill Willingham and boycott his work. Just a what's all his gentle reminders? When everyone says a gentle reminder or a polite reminder, they do not mean to be gentle or polite. They're being a douche. Sorry. That's how it reads, and it when you use those words. But just a gentle reminder that the guy you are all applauding right now for putting comics into the public domain is a white supremacist, and on it goes. This is the way apparently we have discourse now. And, a couple of things. So in my effort to piss everyone off, let's see how I can do this time. So, first off, it's important to remember what exactly Willingham has done with Fables and the public domain, because I think there is clearly some misunderstandings. You have people who are saying, now Marvel could do a comic of Fables continuing from the series. Well, they couldn't, because the characters, the situations are put into the public domain, but I kind of put that in quotes, because the reality is those characters were always in the public domain. They are public domain characters that were basically brought together in a town or a fantasy world, and then they told stories off that. And there is absolutely still copyright trademark protection on those stories. You can't come in, you can't reprint them. You also couldn't come in and basically, hire Mark Buckingham to come in and draw in his style and have all the characters, basically be identical and just continue the stories. DC would sue you, and they'd have the legal right to do that. If you want to take the characters that were in the public domain and put them in a scenario where they're all together, well, Once Upon a Time has done that. A friend of mine sent me a reminder of a gentle reminder of a show back in the 80s called The Charmings, which was the same basic idea. So, this has been done before. And by the way, I don't say this to, crap on Willingham. I like Fables. And that's not past tense. I like Fables. I think it's a good series. I think it's interesting stuff. I think it was a good story. I think he did good stuff with it. It's weird how a lot of people say, that Fables is an example of misogynistic work. The women in that comic came out better than the men. Just from my point. But I don't know. What do I know? I understand it's more complicated than that. Blah blah blah. But my point in all this is, it's the real thing that Willingham did was more or less give the finger to DC by calling them out publicly and making, this statement that the public domain, this stuff enters the public domain, which arguably it always was. It's hard to say whether he actually did anything, meaning, he can grant it's creator-owned work. So there's something that, courts could really kind of try and figure out that he did grant. I'm not saying he granted nothing, But if you wanted to make a comic with a bunch of public domain fairy tale characters all hanging out together, you could do that. You could have done that a year ago. You could do it 10 years ago. How close or not you get to Fables is really where, the courts will maybe determine, exactly what Willingham owned or didn't versus what's DC property. I mean, there's this whole, like for example, you could put out a comic called Fables because, as we saw from a earlier case, Fables is a generic enough name that you could call it Fables and you could do this. But if you put it in the same font, color, and logo treatment as DC's Fables, then DC would come after you. So it's a very murky thing. It's not necessarily as as straightforward as as it seems. So whatever. Again, it's just kind of a funny thing. But the other half of it, I mean, here's the weird part, and this is just me. I don't know, using logic. If you are diametrically opposed to Willingham's politics, you hate what he says, you hate what he represents, you hate all those things. Why wouldn't you look at this and go, you know what? I'm going to do what Willingham did better. I'm basically going to use these public domain fairy tale characters. I'm going to put them in a town together, and I'm going to kick his ass at his own game. I'm going to basically prove that I'm a better writer by, making a better comic. And that will show him. Like, I mean, that would, to me, is the logical response. But instead, you've got a bunch of people going, we need to remind you why he's shitty. Well, I mean, look, and again, I mean no offense to Willingham when I say this, but Willingham is not a top 20 comic writer right now who's getting millions and millions of dollars from Marvel and DC. Part of the reason he did this is DC was screwing him over, that he wasn't getting royalties on time and other things. I mean, he's angry at the company. So you don't really need to post like gentle reminders to kind of discredit the guy. The guy is not, he doesn't own a comic company. He's not employing, hundreds of people. He's not anyone to, like, if you take down Willingham, you haven't accomplished anything for yourself or really anyone. Like, what is the end game here that people are like, holy shit, well, I guess I'm not going to read Fables now. I mean, okay. It sounds like DC wasn't paying his royalties in any kind of proper way. So I'm not sure that you've hurt him. And quite frankly, if you're a comic creator and it's a struggle to make comics, why are you out trying to hurt anybody in the first place? Why don't you just make some comics? Like, that's a waste of your time to do this. Is DC going to sue Willingham? Probably. Mostly probably because he disclosed a bunch of, potential aspects of the contract or may have misrepresented in DC's view what the contract exists. I don't know. That's between DC and him. Who knows what will go on there. But the whole thing is weirdly silly because it just feels like, I don't know. I'm just looking at all these tweets. Just a reminder, Bill Willingham is an asshole. Look, he liked something from the Babylon Bee. And as you're reading that, you're like, I don't know what is being accomplished here. Like, all right, I guess, and then some of the responses like, I didn't realize, I'm definitely not going to read Fables now. Okay, was Willingham liking a post from the Babylon Bee? Like that was what was preventing you from, like, I wonder what's even going on here. Like, that's the problem I have with this. Like what? I guess I find it, I'm incredulous. That's the word. I find it hard to believe that you were excited to read this comic book, but now you are not going to read it because of tweets he liked. I just put it this way. I don't buy that you are ever going to pony up the $75 to buy that omnibus. I don't believe you. I do not believe you, sir. It just seems very unlikely that you are all set to, read 100+ issues of Fables, but now because somebody drew to your attention that there are some tweets that he liked, now you're gonna no. Like, I just don't buy it. Now, maybe, I mean, look, you can always be surprised by, what people decide to, what is the line they're going to draw for themselves. I mean, all right. But to me, it seems like kind of a sad existence if you're, say, Danny Lore, and you are, really wanting to make sure that a writer for a book that, I liked, it was a strong Vertigo book. It's not one of the top 50 books now. I mean, you need to remind people that this guy who wrote a book that isn't one of the popular books now liked some tweets, and so you shouldn't read more books like it. At some point, you're, okay. I mean, just like what are we even doing here? And I know you have people in the comments like, "Oh, try to discredit him so he won't get more work." I mean, okay, but what do you think saying DC are a bunch of assholes is going to do? Do you think DC is like, well, he got us there, but we're going to need to award him a contract for Hang on. We can't give him the contract to Superman. Did you just see that Danny Lore pointed out that he likes some tweets from the Babylon Bee? Well, now we're mad. I mean, what are you even doing? What's the point? And quite frankly, I mean, look, it feels like all the people who care knew this a long time ago. Willingham has not exactly kept it secret where his politics lie. So what's the big revelation here? And for those people who don't give a shit about any of this, I mean, is that a big market? Are there a bunch of people out there who don't care, or sorry, who care but have never seen those tweets, and now, thanks to the heroic efforts of, I don't fucking know, just some random person, Henry Barras. Thanks to Henry Barras and a author of Gilthorpe, who has 4,000 subscribers. Thanks to Henry Barras, now your eyes are open to the evils of Bill Willing. I mean, like, what is even going on? I suppose the problem with the comic industry is all of you blindly supporting a bigot just because he's letting Hansel and Gretel go into public domain. Racists supporting racists. Well, I got news for you. Hansel and Gretel was already in the public domain. Has been for quite a long time. Long before Bill Willingham did Fables. So, first off, Bill Willingham didn't let Hansel and Gretel go into public domain. It was already there. And if, I mean, but what are you even angry about? I mean, like, so a lot of the people who are cheering on Bill Willingham for saying, I'm going to put this stuff into the public domain, have actually never read Fables. They're just happy to see a comic creator give the middle finger to DC. Okay, I'm sorry, that's the truth. They're just going, hey, screw this company. Maybe screw the company because they don't like Superman. Maybe they're Marvel fans. Maybe they don't like creators not getting royalties and kind of fuck him over that way. Maybe they don't like the politics of the current comics. Maybe they do like the politics of the current comics. They don't take the art. I mean, who knows why people are upset with DC? But the majority of people who are like, yeah, you go, Bill, are just excited that he's going F you to a corporation. And by the way, and another friend brought this point up, when in the world did we transition from, people who are on the left wing, going to bat for corporations like Warner Media, and people on the right wing going for screwing those corporations? The world seems weird. Anyway, it's all fine. This is one of those kind of odd little, almost tempest in a teapot kind of situations where, I mean, stuff happened, and we'll see how it all plays out. Thank you, Carr, for telling me the video's almost over. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.